Sorry if I look and sound a little off tonight. I've been dealing with a bit of a head cold all day, so I've been blowing my nose a million times, and that's why I sound kind of weird. Anyways, welcome back, everybody. Here we are in February the 6th. I think this is our first call in February. And we've been going over the tee-up setup for this launch that we're in, this launch window that we're in, as we're all part of the new operating system, if you will, the new system that Niken has put out that involves our incentives program around Powerhouse. I'm glad Ruben did the call that he did last week and was able to share that one page that I shared on all the WhatsApp chat that showed the various links, who they're targeted, and what the benefits of each of the links are. Hope you have had a chance to familiarize yourselves with them. I'll just recap for everybody who's watching for the first time. So we have Yes, My Wellness, which is the original link that Niken shared. This link is something we generate in our back office. Now, the funny thing was, I kept asking Niken, why are we making this so complicated? Why can't we just do like mike.myniken.com/yes or something? And the reason why we have to go in and generate a link all goes back to one thing. Generating the link stamps it with a time signature, and now the countdown for that link's expiry begins. So it's all because of this new idea of creating an expiration time where the product purchase is concerned. So that's why we have to generate these links individually. I don't know where the information comes from that suggests that that's easier than just a standardized link. And I guess the jury's still out on that. We don't know. I don't know. I have no information to tell me that giving somebody 15 days to act on something is going to change their behavior. Regardless, that's why we have to generate the links. So there's 3 links that you have options. Of course, you've got your PWP, which you can send anybody anytime. There's nothing special about that. They can shop, they can do whatever they want. But if you want to offer something that creates a little bit more urgency and maybe incentivize the purchase, then Yes, My Wellness is your first choice for customers. Yes, My Wellness is the one that offers a 10% discount for purchases of $350 or more. And if it's over $500, they get free shipping on top of that. So that's the best bang for your buck, so to speak, if you want to sort of upsell and create an urgency to have somebody purchase one of the packs or one of the higher ticket items. And you have to have at least 2 items purchased. So it's a pack and something, or it's a combination of 2 things that take them over the limit. Now, that does not engage the Powerhouse program, and the Powerhouse program is something that we are now giving ourselves access to, or Niken's giving us access to, that we will no longer have access to come April. So we are part of a launch strategy so that we can experience what a new person is going to experience and how we want to duplicate that new person's launch in Niken. That's why the Powerhouse exists. There are 2 links associated with the Powerhouse, one for the customer and one for the business builder. Although we're suggesting maybe a protocol to follow for the most bang for the buck on all counts is the person uses the Powerhouse link for the waterfall first as a customer, then as they receive their ID, they can then upgrade to becoming a consultant, at which point you can then send them the Powerhouse link for building the business, and that gives them access to their product packs as a business builder. So they would first enter as a customer, then upgrade, then enter as a consultant with the packs. Seems like there's a few too many steps, but if you're really looking from a duplication standpoint, as you go down generationally, you want to maximize earnings. That's how you do it. So let's look at then what are the two links? The powerhouse links for the purchase of the waterfall, and it's only for the purchase of the waterfall, Start My Wellness Home. Yes, exclamation mark, Start My Wellness Home. That's the one for the waterfall, and that's the one that pays out that extra bonus. So again, if we've got a customer, or for that matter, enrolling somebody, I think that's a great way to start them. And then when they want to become a business builder, you then send them my business, start my business, or excuse me, build my wellness business. So the yes, my build my wellness business, that link opens them up to the 4-packs. They have 15 days. No, excuse me. They have the month they joined plus a month in order to take advantage of those packs. Those are packs that are exclusive for business builders. They're configured in a way, again, that pays bonuses to the sponsor, the upline. So there's an advantage to the person joining. They get free products. And there's an advantage to the person who's marketing that, in that there's some extra money on the table. So as a system to enrollment, I think that's the way to go. So there you go. Those are the 3 packs and how, or the 3 links and how you would utilize them. Maybe we'll come back to that later. So what we covered last fall was month end. We were at month end and we covered a month end stretch, which is a strategy that really is something that is effective if the work's been done, meaning weeks 1, 2, 3 have not gone to waste. You've got some activity, and now you want to bring that activity into a result, and that result is usually tied to a rank advancement or objective, some kind of goal that's been set. We talked about setting a monthly goal, and the month is not over until the last minute has passed of the month. And so don't reset the goal until then. That's foolish. That's giving up on your goal. So don't do that until that's done. We need to get into the habit of making a committed decision, following through on that decision, and learning how to make our results manifest. It's really an exercise in the law of attraction, to be honest, all of this. The more we learn to become, I tell you, I'm going to share this. This is a little bit personal, but you guys know my faith, you know my belief, and you know where I come from. I've been watching a series that has just taken me aback. I mean, I haven't been this moved in a long time for anything. It's a show called The Chosen, and it's a crowdfunded program that has absolutely captivated me and my family. And yesterday, I was fortunate that they were broadcasting at a theater episodes 7 and 8 of season 3. So that's the last 2 episodes to date of what they've got. And I got to see it in the theater. And I can't tell you what happened afterwards, but it was very important in my life. It was one of those moments that will mark my life. And it was so impactful. And without being a spoiler, it was so tied to, in fact, it's in that episode where they speak the words, the faith of a mustard seed. And if those of you who've been following me at all know where the faith of a mustard seed falls into my storyline, it's been an important part of my journey and my commitment to success and my ability to teach the law of attraction with authority. And so when those words come to life on that screen in the way that they did, and then what ensued afterwards, and it was an absolute demonstration of this faith that I was just shaken to the core. I mean, I was just moved beyond measure. So for me, I believe that when we become really committed to an objective where we operate on that level of faith, where we know, it's a knowing that you know the law is the law. You know it, you don't argue with it. It's not up for debate. It's just simply, it is what it is. It's got MO. You know, it's the operating system for the universe. It's just the way it is in this three-dimensional reality. And once you understand that that's it, that's the law, and now you have to learn to operate the law in your favor, you know, learn to utilize it in a way that you can actually create what you want to create. It all comes down to how faithful you are to the choices you're making, to the decisions you're making, whether you're allowing internal or external circumstances to augment your focus. change your viewpoint, shifting your view from what's beyond the board to the board, or maybe something completely different. So you smack your hand against the board instead of breaking through the board. So this process of setting a goal, committing to the goal, and going as if that goal has nowhere else to go but to the finish line, until the finish line. When you become proficient at that, regardless of the results, you start to become so proficient at that it becomes second nature to you. You will start to see the results start to catch up to the vision, to the goals. And so people who are really proficient at goal setting and goal achievement are just people who do that. It's like second nature. It's like reading, the time on their watch. They just know that. They look at the watch, they know what time it is, they read the time, they know what time it is. It's not something they debate. So setting a goal, going for the goal, achieving the goal is something we need to become proficient at. And it seems like something small, but I think Niken's an excuse for life. It's like life and fast forward, or it's a microcosm of the macrocosm. As we sow in Niken and reap in Niken, we become more in harmony with the laws of life and of liberty and of justice and all the good that it means to be human. I think winning in Niken requires an alignment to those principles, those core principles of success, which are life principles. And so that's why we can't just speak the words, set a goal, whatever. If I achieve it, I do. If I don't. I mean, that's not the attitude. That's certainly not an attitude of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude is that you're grateful for the goal having been completed. And when would you change your goal? Not until you have to. So when you start operating like that, with that level of conviction and that level of integrity, personal integrity, it's going to affect every part of your life. Makes every part of your life better. Anyway, so we talked about the month-end strategy. We talked about setting goals, how to break through that board, etc. What I wanted to bring some clarity to today was, what is the process that we take people through? Right now, I'm in the process of reviewing tools and upgrading some of them and modifying some of them so that I can actually do a proper presentation myself. And I figure whatever I do for me, I need to make available for you, or it's not duplicatable. So right now I'm in review of things like these cards, which looks like we're going to be able to get them printed, but in a booklet form, where the booklet opens like this, and that's the least expensive way of doing it. So it'll actually become a tool that's something you can use either for a presentation, for a giveaway. So it sort of encapsulates what the PowerPoint presentations are going to be about, which is the how and the what conversations, or excerpts from the how and the what, so that we can create some kind of a standardized format for how are we presenting Niken, again, for the sake of duplication. And while everybody is unique, some things need to be standardized in order for us to be able to create duplication. And the key to our success in 2023 is our ability to grow our organizations. And the key to that is our ability to duplicate. And the key to that is to making it simple and straightforward and accessible. So let me, I wanted to share that with you. And if you've got something, we got some experts on the call. I'm not, the only one here that knows what I'm talking about. So if you want to jump in and add to the conversation, please don't be embarrassed to, feel free to. It's the point of having all these masterminds on this call. But I wanted to create sort of a consent to what is the process and what exactly is this process about. So let me bring up the PowerPoint that I'm working on, the one that I use essentially to tell the story. So I think I may have fixed the dilemma. I was having a problem with my last presentation. PowerPoint kept dropping out. I can't see all your faces when I'm doing this, so you're just going to have to jump out as I share. So what we have here is one of the things that I'm going to talk. I'm going to revise. It says start my wellness home. Okay, so we're going to start using the language of of the new links. The reason why I put Start My Wellness Home here is because I'm not sure if I want to confuse a new person just yet. This is an obvious one, Start My Wellness Home. So how do I get it started? Well, we got these packs and you can save some money on them and you can get some free shipping if you go to Yes My Wellness Home. So I may actually change it to Yes My Wellness Home and then just ask your person who invited you to share that link with you and you can get some savings. Anyway, that's another story. Then there's the packs for the business builder. And of course, you get that when you click Build My Wellness Business. So these are going to be incorporated to the presentation so that it becomes part of what they are being taught as part of the, what does it take to get going in this business? And that depends on what you want to do. And here's some options. So now let me go ahead, Ruth.
Right, can you go back to that slide with the starter packs? So I don't believe it's 10% savings.
No, I haven't finished this one yet. Yeah, that's got to drop out.
Yeah, it's free products.
I just got the graphics in. That's the only thing I got onto this slide, and I got to change the text, the savings thing. Yeah. Thanks for that. Okay, so I wanted to first of all make a distinction between prospecting and contacting and inviting. Those are two different things. And prospecting, I believe, is the art of interviewing people without them knowing you're interviewing them. In other words, finding people who may be suitable to share either the Nikken business opportunity or the Nikken products with. And that can happen for those of us who've been in the business for a while, any number of ways. And you should have some ways defined or make it a point of becoming professional in discovering new and exciting ways of reaching new people, making contact and relationships with new people so that you can add them to your contact list. I define the contact list as something very, very specific. Whether you're using this piece of paper called the $1 Million List, or you're using a contact management system on your phone, or some other third-party contact management, or the Nikken Share app, I don't care. Once the name is a contact in your contact management system, that means you've got a qualified lead, somebody you would actually now take some action with. Until then, they're just somebody you may meet and may get to know. So I think of two things. I think of prospects are people who I want to meet, encounter, qualify or pre-qualify, and then if I then add them to my contact list, I now am going to take action with that contact in one of two ways, either as a potential customer or as a potential business builder, okay? So how would I know if they're a potential customer or potential business builder? Because I have learned about them while I was prospecting. It was in the prospecting that I learned about these people, building relationship, rapport, conversations, and whatnot. Now, I'm obviously talking about those of us who have been in the business, but that is not a standardization for new training. I find a lot of people genericize their training to where they are at rather than where the new person is at. When a new person comes into the business, they have a cell phone, which means they have a contact list. They don't have to guess. They don't have to go online and start creating relationships that's going to take them months to figure out how to do that. They have a contact list. So our system of duplication has to always begin with people we know, people who are on our contact list. I remember having this argument with my girls where they're like, no, we got to teach social media, la, 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 la. I said, listen, you went gold without social media. Let's teach others how to go gold without social media. And then they can start becoming social media gurus and start going platinum, diamond, royal diamond with some of the other connections they make. But until then, we have to have something that everybody has and everybody has access to. Otherwise, you don't have a duplicatable system. You have a growing possibility, a growing opportunity. What we know we have is a way to help somebody at least go silver or gold in their first few months based on their current contact list. Now, some people say, I don't know anybody. Say, take out your phone, click on contacts, scroll to the bottom, tell me how many names are in your contacts. And they'll tell me. I've never had anybody tell me less than 300. I said, great, you got twice as many as we need. what we need. 3 times as many as what we need to get started. So the idea here is prospecting happens as a matter of course and time and evolution as you become proficient at knowing how to prospect, at listening for opportunities and so forth. That's a skill set that we can teach with time. It is not a skill set that's needed to get somebody started today, right now. The skill set that's needed to get somebody started today, right now, is getting on to their contact list, which they already have. So I want to make that clear, because they are in a position to start contacting, inviting today. And they will then learn how to expand on that, how to turn a contact into many other opportunities, such as referrals and so forth. Those are things they're going to learn if they haven't been in this business before, or some form of business. Paul, you put your hand up.
I did. So we're talking about skill set, but once I have determined that somebody cares about me, what I'm doing, and they have some things that they're interested in, there's a mindset that I want to create right from the get-go, which involves whatever you're going to like about Nikken, you're going to want to share with other people. But there's a wonderful book I just have started to read, and I read a lot of self-development books, but this one isn't quite that, but I'm super excited about it. It's by Howard Schultz, and it's called Pour Your Heart Into It. And he's the one who got in with Starbucks and then left and then started another company and then bought it. And of course, Starbucks, and then he was out and now he's back into it. But the thing that happened with him was that somebody, a physician, in fact, invested in him, not even liking coffee or not even liking necessarily what the product, but he just liked him. There's so much energy about passion and not giving up and going after your dream. And it's an unbelievable book. I don't know if anybody else has read it, but I'm going to
Are we making this as a recommendation for like ongoing development?
I'm making this as a recommendation for anyone who says, yeah, I'm interested in the business aspect of Nikken. I'm going to recommend that they read that book right away so that they get into the mindset of what it's like to be in business.
Okay. Well, I mean, there are obviously other books that are more network marketing tuned. I've made my recommendations on that as well, but I just don't want to get too far on tangents to what I'm trying to cover here, because what I'm trying to bring us to is what is the thread of duplication that we can call a system? Because for the most part, I don't know if anyone on this call can actually tell me what the Nikken system is. And yet it is something that I need to be able to articulate to somebody new if I expect them to buy the system.
Yes.
We are selling a system. We are selling products and a business opportunity backed by a system. If it weren't for the system, then the opportunity falls apart. The McDonald's success story, or for that matter, any franchise success story, comes from not the product they sell, but the system they sell. And so to take our business to the next level, where duplication becomes more important than the product, we have to identify the system we're duplicating. Again, one of the key ingredients I took from Randy Gage, his training a few weeks I took, that was the first thing that came out was, what's your system? Lock down your system. And one of the things that we need to lock down is, what is the process that defines our recruitment into the system? What is the system itself that we're going to share with people so that they see it is a system that's defined? And that way we have something that we can replicate and graphically actually illustrate, so that we can actually use some of these graphics and say, hey, this is our system. We learn and teach to duplicate this. So one of the first things that I'm talking about here is the difference between prospecting and contacting and inviting. Prospecting is the art of putting people on a names list. Contacting and inviting is the action you take once they are on your names list. And for the new person, the only thing we need to focus them on is their contact list of names that they already know. Don't start focusing them on or teaching them or talking about all the other ways that they can prospect. Prospecting is not something they need to concern themselves with day one. Day one, the first 90 days, I don't want them looking left or right. I want them nose down following a system that's proven and it's going to get them the results that I'm after. Like I told my girls, I got you to gold on the old school way of doing things. And so if you can get 10 other people to gold in the old school thing without ever touching social media or anything like that, you now have a business model you can replicate. When you soup it up with social media down the road, because it's something you want to explore and get involved in, that's another matter. But I need a time-tested, proven system that I can sell with 100% assurity that I'm not selling a boatload of nothing, or I'm not selling somebody on a learning curve that is going to take God knows how long to get them through. I know today, if I sponsor somebody, they have names on a phone. That's their contact list. Then what do we do with this contact list? We separate the wheat from the chaff. First thing we do is we explore who are the entrepreneurs in that group, or has entrepreneurial tendencies, and who doesn't. And so that helps us look at who we should be talking to first about the opportunity, who we should be talking to first about the products. So now we have a system to get somebody started. And so contacting and inviting is a skill set that they need to learn. I'm going to make the same recommendation as always. There's Contact and Invite by Mike DiMuccio, and there's Contact and Invite by Sophia DiMuccio, probably a better version than this one. Either way, it's something I tell people to study. I think it's important that they study it, not listen to it, study it, because inherent in it is the magic. It's how you make that initial contact to anyone personal and influential. It influences them in a way that they agree, for the most part, 8.5 out of 10 times, by the way, statistically, they agree to an exploration, a discovery process. And so the contact and invite is to invite them into a discovery process. And the approach that we take in the contact and invite is, as defined in that audio, very personal. It's designed to identify their why. What would motivate them to go through the information process? Because they're not going to do it for your reason. They're going to do it for their reason. And so at the top end of the funnel, if you will, is your contact list. Above that is prospects and prospecting. That's an art and a technology we'll explore as an advanced learning segment. But for the basics and for getting started, first 90 days, I want people focused on the contact list. Then the contact list goes into the contact and invite. And then the contact and invite leads to the next step, which is the presentation. So let's look at the contact and invite for a second. What it talks about is identifying what motivates that individual. And of course, what I'm talking about is the 5 pillars of wellness. Bob Proctor, we used to teach this all the time. I'm sure many of you have heard. Find out what somebody wants to buy and sell it to them. So do they want to buy better physical health? Do they want to buy better mental health? Do they want to buy better family health? Do they want to buy better societal health? Do they want to buy a better opportunity for financial health? So find out where there might be a reason for them to explore, and you can identify it. Help them identify it. If you know something about them that you can put it on the table and say, what about this? And they identify with that. You've identified their motive. Until you've identified their motive, you do not engage in the invitation. I think it's a mistake that people go straight to presentation before they even get engagement. That's a huge mistake. It's made by all the non-professionals. So if I'm going to help somebody get the best start possible, first thing I'm going to tell them is, you're not presenting anything. Your job is contact and invite, create enough interest to get them to want to know more. Then I'm going to show you how the presentation works and what part of it, what role you play in that presentation. I don't think a new person should be presenting anything. I don't think it's their job. It's their job to be the B, not the A. The A's job is to present. So if I can get them to get a C in front of me, and they do that every day consistently for the next 30, 60, 90 days, there's going to be great results. That means there has to be somebody or some system for presenting that anybody can do. Not the newest person, but the people who have invited the newest person. So I'm not going to get into the whole specifics of the contact invite because we have it, but let's just start with this process. This process is defined by 3 very clear steps. Why should someone engage in the process is the first thing that has to be revealed. That's about their personal or their business vision or both. What do they want out of life? If you don't know what they want, how can you show them a way to get it? I don't think we should make assumptions. People have been beaten to death down with assumptions. Advertising is all about throwing assumptions in their face. But if you ask somebody, if you learn how to ask them, I think what I like one of the things that we talked about in the last couple of calls, something that Richard Brooke is doing, where he's saying, do a 1-minute video, your 1-minute story. Why are you involved in this? Why is it that you feel compelled to share what you know? And you've done this 60-second video to invite them to say, yes, tell me more. That's a great little way to bridge the gap, if you will, for somebody who's having a hard time reaching out. And with something like that, a little 60-second commercial of yourself, sending that out, you could do 3, 4, 5, 10 texts a day. If you got a contact list of 300 people, it'll take you a month to get through your entire contact list if you're doing 10 a day. You think you're going to get some results there? You see, the challenge is not that we don't get results. We get results in direct proportion to the number of people we expose this to and the way in which we present it. And so if we up the professionalism, if we increase the number of exposures, we're going to multiply everything. One of the things that Bo Tanis and myself remember vividly in our first launch of NICA in January of 1992 is we went through 3,000 videos. 3,000 videos were handed out in that first month. How do we know? Because we were duplicating them at 100 at a time, selling them to our downlines in boxes of 100, and their job was to get them out to the people that were on their contact list. And by the end of the month, we had burned through 3,000 videos, and our downline, my downline, was 300 people. Is there a direct relationship? You bet there is. Elaine.
It seems to me that asking is a different thing than telling that 1 minute, Richard Brooke, our story. So those don't seem to be the same thing to me.
Well, if the ask is in the story, when you're saying, this is why I'm doing it, and that's why I'm asking you to check it out with me. Do I have your permission to reach out to you and follow up with this?
Gotcha.
And that is, so that little, because the phone call is hard to make happen these days. It seems it's hard to get people on the phone for you to have that conversation. So you almost need a conversation before the conversation. So that little video could be a real great way to get the interest up, the prospecting going amongst their warm market list, which are the people they know. And then from that, obviously, you're going to have those who say, yeah, sure, give me a call. Sure. Yeah, sure. Sounds interesting. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Now, if you sent out 100, out of those 100, how many are going to say that? Well, statistically, we know at least a third, right? So the problem is we know the statistics are what they are, but if you're only sending 3 calls out, you're going to get maybe 1, tell me more, in a week. If you're doing that a week because you're shy or you don't know what to do. So our problem is not what our statistics are. It's the number of people who are being introduced to this and simplifying it for them so that they're not getting stagnant. They're getting enough exposure in the first 30 to 60 days of their involvement with NICAN that they can't help but trip over success. And that's, of course, if we are doing our job, which is, okay, you've got an interested prospect. We now need to present to that prospect how Nikken fits in. How does Nikken fit into those 5 pillars? How does Nikken solve the problem of more time with my family, or solve the problem with creating a greater impact in society, or solve the problem of giving me hope and a positive outlook on life, or solve the problem of dealing with my health issue or whatever, or solve the problem of securing my finances? You tell me, how does Nikken do that? You can't expect a new person to do that. So a new person should not be handicapped by the need to be a presenter. That's a skill that they don't possess. We shouldn't assume because it's not duplicatable. The assumption is that they can't do it. That's duplicatable. So now, how do we augment it? We know this step has to happen. It has to happen. And it has to happen in the best light possible. So can you think of how you could make this step happen? Is there a way you can think of that you can make this step happen? Just throw some ideas out. How
Mike,
could we present? Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question to just entangle something in my mind anyway. On the one hand, we're supposed to be, let's say I'm a new person, so I have a warm market, and I now know about Nikken, and I have ideas about how Nikken would fit into the lives of the people in my warm market, but I haven't asked them specifically. I haven't taken the time. I need to spend time with each person. Would I not, before I even send a video or say something about Nikken?
Yeah, we're not presenting yet, Paul.
No, so
you're still in step 1. So in step 1, you identify a person's need or why, whether you know it in advance or you find it out through a discovery of a conversation with them. Either way, you establish that why by a phone call before you ever present anything.
yes,
You do not,
yes.
the word Nikken shouldn't even come up.
right.
If you've done this well, the word Nikken wouldn't even come up in that first why. Now, it doesn't mean you couldn't tie these things together. It might be, you might be having lunch or coffee or something where you bring it all together. But what's the chances you're going to get 100 of that happening in your first 30, 60, 90 days? It's not. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit down with 100 prospects. I'm not going to ask them to. What I'm going to say is, we're going to sit down with those who really want to know more. But how do we know who they are? We need to have a contact and invite, an invitational approach that allows me to blanket their warm market list. Wow, 300 people are exposed. And we identify from that exposure those who really lean into the conversation. Now we invest time and energy in making sure the presentation happens. So it's, how do you overcome the inertia of not getting the job done? You go and you just rifle this thing like a cannon, but you do it in a very succinct and professional way. So that's the difference between inching your way into failure versus stumbling your way into success. I mean, if you really look at success stories, you'll find people just fell over mistake after mistake on their way to success. Whereas the failures are, one failure, I'm out, or 2 failures, I'm done. So how do we get people doing the right thing, limiting what they think they need to know, so that they just do what they need to do because it's easy to do. And then we pick up where it gets difficult. We're the ones who step in when it gets difficult, but now we have a reason to step in. It's worth our time and attention. And so the presentation time is, I've got an interested prospect. My contact has an interested prospect. What do I do? Well, they need to know how Nikken's going to fit into their life. How the products, the business, and number 3, it's a number 3. And if you're not doing number 3, you are not going to get the results you're looking for, the duplication. You have to show there's a system. You're selling a system. If you're just selling the products, you're going to end up with a customer. If you're just selling the business, you're going to end up with a direct seller. But if you sell the system, you're going to be in the B quadrant. You're going to start teaching people how to leverage, how to duplicate. That's got to be part of the conversation. So where does that fit in? Who does the talking? Where's that presented? How do I see that? What's the evidence of it? If you don't have a standardized presentation that encompasses this, so we need to now look at, in your experience, what covers this? Is it one presentation, 2, 3? Is it in-home? Is it live? Is it Zoom? Is it a combination? What is the system that you are going to ask people to follow when it comes to presenting NECAN? The whole story. So we do need some form of standardization here. We need some examples. Yes, a live. First of all, there is a link that I've used. It's getting updated. I've already updated the numbers on the microsite for the waterfall, for the water products. So theroyalalliance.com/a-better-way. That's a link you can send, and it has a number of videos and links. You can say, watch the first 2. If that interests you, keep going. Or watch the first one. If that interests you, keep going. Like, there's stuff there that we compiled because we did not have what I'm saying right now we need. We need something that is able to cover the cross-section of information to deliver products, business, and system presentation. Now, let's say it was that link, as a let's say. Now I have a presentation link. It has all the things covered. Anybody can send somebody a link. Now we have a very simple way of delivering that content. But it doesn't deliver live meetings. It doesn't deliver the dynamics of testimonials in the flesh and so forth. So it needs to be supplemented. So no matter what you may send somebody, you can't get away from the live meeting component. I think that's got to be part of your how. So what is your live meeting schedule? Do you have a schedule? Because if you have a schedule that you're tapping into, and you're not sharing that schedule as part of your system, then you're doing stuff that you're not duplicating. So if you are tapping into a schedule, again, an update that's coming is the NECAN Connect schedule, and it will include the new presentations that are happening on Zoom, the Happy Life presentation. So why do we have that schedule? Why do we publish that schedule? Because it forms part of the system. It's the support system to deliver the presentations, to help somebody learn about the NECAN products, learn about the business, and demonstrate that there is really a system already in place that they can leverage. So part of your presentation materials ought to make reference to the fact that there is an ongoing schedule of some kind. You'll find that in my presentation, it does have that. Anyway, the point of the matter is, how is the presentation? And it should cover the products, the business, and the system. So pick whatever combination works for you that you feel does the job. We don't have one to say it's standard yet. I believe the link that I just shared with you has the makings of a standardized presentation forum, let's just say, but it needs to also incorporate a live meeting. So your live meeting schedule has to be part of your system. So we would invite somebody. If I was launching Toronto myself right now, I would be planning live events, whether they were in homes or at a hotel. That would be part of my weekly campaign. Because how often do I need somebody to bring a prospect to a presentation? How often? At least as often as there's somebody interested in a presentation. Now, it's impossible for me to be everywhere all the time, but I can make myself available periodically, and I can make myself available to more than one person at a time. That's what a public event or a private event is about. In other words, where's your calendar of events? Because if a new person coming into the business is not handed that, they don't know where the presentation's happening or where to bring somebody. Is it online? Is it a combination of online and live? Is it a combination of online, live, and links? Combination of online, live, and video? Like, there needs to be some standardization here where you can say, this is our system. We have 3 ways you can present NECAN. Boom, boom, boom. Online, live, and what was the last one? Ruth, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mike. I was just thinking, when I had a brand new person that was interested in growing the business, I did a lot of three-ways, and I'm not sure that was the best thing, only because I didn't have access to follow up with them. And um, so I would do the three-ways with them. And then after that, we would always invite them to either the Monday Wellness Home presentation the Barb Satterwhite's group does, or Thursday for the water. And the nice thing about that, I tell people, is that, okay, I'm not presenting, so you're going to get a whole different view from somebody else. And because they have testimonies on there too, they get to learn. And we have Q&A afterwards.
Right.
I've been doing that, and I think that has worked. Unfortunately, this gal decided to do something else, which is fine, but the whole process worked really well. But I just want to ask you, like, what are your thoughts about that? Should I have done the presentation first, have them go those, or should I? I'm just not.
I just
clear.
think that the more systematic anything is, the more likely it's going to be followed and duplicated, and duplication has been our challenge.
Mhm.
And so we need to simplify. Simplifying means leverage. I used to have a tool called a wellness preview. It was Marty Jeffrey doing a wellness preview that we recorded live in a studio audience. It was actually filmed at a television station in Manitoba. We had a live audience that was there to see a presentation. They didn't know we were going to film it. We filmed it, edited it, and it became the wellness preview. So if I couldn't do a live preview, I'd use the video. I remember one time I was launching a couple in New York, in Long Island, and I had to be at an event in Maui. And they knew that I taught this. And so they were saying, well, who's coming to do our wellness preview? And I said, got it. Don't worry, I got it worked out. I got 2 Royal Diamonds coming to your place, and they're 2 of the best. And they're like, what? I said, I'll send you the video tomorrow. Push power, push play. When they say pause and do the demos that I taught you, that's when you do the demos, and you push power, play again, and then you finish the preview. And then I'll call in on speakerphone at the end of the preview to answer questions. And we did that. 3 in-homes like that, they went silver that month, first month. So I knew that had to happen, but I couldn't be there to make it happen. So I had to solve the problem. How am I going to get that to happen when I can't be there, but it has to happen? And so that was the solution. The solution was, wellness preview in a video. Dennis Williams used to do that a lot, a wellness preview in a video. And so we have to have some form of presentation content that, with confidence covers the basics. By the way, the link that I said, royalalliance.com/a-better-way, at the very bottom is still one of the best video presentations of a full-on A Better Way presentation with me, Ben, a number of testimonials. It was really, really well done, and it's done in 1 hour. So they got soup to nuts, an entire presentation in an hour that they can watch online. There's an example of a duplicatable presentation that you can have somebody watch. And then what do you follow it up with? Some live content or an invite to the online meetings. The key here is, if you can't list the schedule of events where this can happen, more than once a week is best. So do you do your own live? Do you do in-homes? If you're launching somebody, are you going to their house to do a presentation? Is that going to be your how presentation that you schedule for them? The key is it has to be some form of a presentation that you can do and they can do watching you. So some standardized content. So I'm going to be putting out another version of The Better Way. It's not much different than the one that you have right now, but it is a presentation. When I go to Quebec City and do a live meeting, that's the one I'm using. And it creates the conversation that I want to have to get people to think about what we want them to think about, so that they can look at NECAN as a business opportunity. Now, live presentations have the benefit of testimonials and social proof. Just remember that. Live presentations where there's more gathered has the benefit of testimonials and social proof. They are the most powerful. Now, person's seen how NECAN can fit into their life. Question they're going to have next, or should have next, or we should be prepared to answer next, so we can move them to the next thing, which is, what is it going to take? What is it that I need to do to make this work? because they already have a busy life. In this case, the conversation needs to take into account some form of a strategy. Do we have one? We've been talking about it all month. We've got a great launch strategy for somebody. We've got the process of how to engage people and what presentations and what's the system of presenting. And we have the tools. The tools are what we just have been talking about. What is it that we need to have as a schedule of events and materials that support that presentation so that we have the tools. So a what, and by the way, a tool to get started. We've been waiting forever for this tool from Niken to get started. I worked on it like a year ago. So we do have one that I'm going to work on again, which will be a printed PDF. At least you have something, but somebody should have something. What's your getting started checklist? If you got a getting started checklist, that's a tool. It's a tool that you want people to replicate until there's a better one that at least creates some form of, this is what we do to get started. And whatever tool you're using is part of your system. It has to be available for them. So as I'm using this tool to share with you, I'm going to make this tool available for you so you can use it and have this conversation for training purposes. Obviously, this is a process for getting somebody to explore why they may join Niken, either as, by the way, this is normally, this is the tool I'm using. I'm telling people, this is the presentation we're doing right now, the what conversation. How does it work? So customer, consultant, partner. Those are the three things that a person will become as a result of this. What is a partner?
Somebody who wants to build it big.
I think it's more specific than an ideal. What's a consultant?
So,
What does Niken define as a consultant?
somebody pays their $20.
Does that make
That's
them a partner?
No,
What makes them a partner?
it's what they want to do with it.
Okay, go on.
So we have to have explored what
Partners require more than
Duplicate.
one person.
they require building an organization.
No, they require partnering.
Be a partner.
They got to
right?
first
Okay.
partner with who before they can partner with others?
Well, they got to partner with Niken, and then they got to partner with their upline, and then
Yeah.
partner with new people that they know.
Right. So what's the order? The order is they got to first partner with their sponsor, right?
Yeah.
They partner with Niken
Yeah.
by joining, then they got to partner with their sponsor,
Sponsor.
right? Or whoever it is that's actively working with them to launch. There's a partnering going on here. And then they're going to then enroll other partners. So what would cause somebody to move from being in the mindset of being a consultant to the mindset of being a partner? What led them to that point? And if you listen to the audio I asked you to listen to, Silver's a Blast, you'll remember. People went from being a consultant to being a launch partner in a blink. It happened overnight. And as soon as they did it, their entire behavior changed. And then the results. Do you remember what it was that caused them to become mentally and emotionally locked in? It was humans being more, which they called silver
decision.
training then. It was a decision, but what prompted the decision?
Humans being more and
Or an event.
Or a big event. Okay, so part of your launch schedule needs to incorporate a big event. How often?
as
Every
often as you
quarter.
can do it, but every 90 days usually
Do
seems
you want to
to
wait
do
90
it.
days for somebody to decide they want to launch their business?
No,
When do you want them to make that decision? If we're in February, when do you want them to make that decision? In March?
in
That week.
No, in
In
February.
February. The sooner the better, right?
Yeah,
So at the very least, because big events are hard to happen, they can't happen every day, too much involved in that. But can we get at least a big event once a month that we can tap into?
well,
Does
Niken
Niken have
has
such a
one
thing?
online. yeah.
Aha. So now we understand why Niken has one. And if we're not using it for that reason, we've lost the plot. We're a spectator. And that's why the numbers on that call don't grow. Because for the most part, people are using it as a spectator. Oh, I'm in Nikan, so I should be on that call. You should be. You're a business builder. You're an entrepreneur. That call's to serve your newest person so that they can capture the vision and make a committed decision to actually launch their business. So the idea of a big event is to lock them in mentally and emotionally. Granted, I think the big event needs some adjustments because it's not doing exactly what it needs to be doing. It needs to be a little bit more exciting in that way. Testimonials are a big part of a big event. Business stories are the biggest part of a big event, and recognition are the biggest part of a big event. So those are key factors in causing a person to go from I'm in Nikan to I want to get the job done. I want to get to the next rank done. So if we have a system and it's structured properly, each thing leads to the next thing. And so how do I move a consultant to being a business builder with regularity? I need to have an event that's designed to do that with regularity. So let me just jump ahead here. This is the same thing turned on its axis. So I want you to think of generations. If we do a cycle in 1 week, and we repeat the cycle the next week, and we repeat the cycle the next week, that's our rhythm, okay? It's a weekly rhythm. If I turn this way, my finger's pointing down now, that cycle represents generations being born. First generation being born in the first cycle, second generation being born in the second cycle, third generation being born in the third cycle. If I increase the number of cycles or shorten the amount of time between the cycles, I increase the time, or excuse me, shorten the amount of time for creating generations. If I were to have a longer span of time, in other words, I increase the rhythm, the time between events, then I'm reducing the speed at which people are duplicating. And let's just look at the effect of that. I know I covered this on a a couple of calls back, but you know the penny doubling story, right? If I double a penny every day, on day 30, I'm giving you $5.2 million just on day 30. But if I double the penny every other day, on day 30, I'm giving you $183.60. Wow, what a difference a day makes. In other words, the rhythm of the business affects the rate of growth and compounding. And if we have events too far apart, you're not going to get the compounding effect. So our schedule, our rhythm of the business, the schedule that we create for ourselves, for our team, has to have a certain frequency to it, or it's not going to be productive in terms of accumulating generations. So what is the ideal? Well, something has to happen every day. And that is, we need to contact people, and everybody on the team and everybody who's new needs to be contacting people every day, turning contacts into interested contacts. That has to happen every day. Then those interested contacts need to be presented the whole story, how Nikan can matter in their lives. And so that has to happen at least once a week, where we're turning interested contacts into either a customer or a consultant, at least weekly. Now, if a consultant is born in a week, does that mean that they're going to automatically become a partner? Not necessarily. At least within the context of a month, something should happen that triggers that person. So if we did this last month, this month I'm working with somebody who was triggered. We do it again this month, next month I'm working with somebody who's triggered. So every month I would be in launch mode with somebody, maybe 2 or 3 people. And the rest, well, they're not in launch mode, they're just in doing Nikan. They're just, hobbling along, learning how to do this and that and whatever. But you want to be in launch mode with somebody. Because when you're in launch mode with somebody, you're cracking silvers. That's what it's all about. You don't fall your way into silver. You launch your way into it. And so we want to be on the hunt for people to launch, which means we need to create opportunities for people to identify themselves. So if we look at this strategy, what I'm looking for are partners, not customers, not consultants. My end game is partners to launch. That's my end game. So what content, what information do I need to provide somebody so that they can say yes to my end game? Because if I don't tell them what the end game is, if I don't deliver the information that they need, are they going to say yes to investing in their products? Are they going to say yes to putting some time aside to launch? Are they going to say yes to making that contact list a reality? No, they're just going to be a wish list. So what do I need to deliver as far as information goes so that a person, when they give me a yes on that side, they're a partner, which means I'm now in launch mode with somebody. So now let's work it backwards. Let's look at what does that all fall in line. So contacts become interested contacts become customers or consultants, and then we have something that triggers that consultant to become a partner, and that's the big event. So I need a big event that I can tap into or be part of or create at least once a month, because I need popcorns to pop once a month. I need new people to launch monthly. We're launching, Niken's comp plan is a monthly plan, so I need something to launch every month. I need to be finding something to launch every month. So for me, the big event is the recruiting event for my launch partners. That's what the big event is. When I went to Montreal this last month on our follow-up call to launch Leo's Diamond Run, first thing I asked Leo is to give me a drawing. I covered this last week. Draw out who was at the event. Why? Why would I need to know who was there? Draw out your group. Now tell me who was at the event. We eliminated half the people because they weren't at the event. So I only want to know who was at the event. Why? Because they're now mentally and emotionally where we are together as a team from that event, ready to do something or not. But if they weren't even at the event, they're clearly not ready to do something. And I need to know who's ready to do something today, not next month, not next week, today, because we're in the month now, we're in launch mode. So who's ready to go? So it's a process that I do on purpose. It's not something I wait for some mystery to happen. I'm doing this as a professional. I'm looking to launch people. I started a concept called the Launch Partners years ago, and I went around the country launching teams all over the place. That was on purpose. It was to identify who wanted to play, and they were put on the hook to put an event. That's why I flew there. So it's a partnering. You see what I mean? You build on purpose by partnering on purpose, but you have to identify what a partner is. I need to have expectations around that. So do you. Partner is not somebody who joins. A partner is somebody who joins and capitalizes their business and puts their contact list on the table. That's a partner. If they're not ready to do that or carve out some time for this, we don't have a partnership. We don't have a launch strategy. We just have somebody who's joined Niken. And that's fine. There's a place for them too. They can join any of the calls. They can come on anytime, but the level of expectation is going to be different. I can't have much expectations where that's concerned because the work ethic to make the business work is not there. So for them, they're in that period of time where they haven't yet caught fire. And if you listen to that call, Silver's a Blast, you know, some of the people said, well, I've been in business, I've been in Niken for 8 months. And then finally they made a decision. Well, what were they doing for 8 months? In my book, in this book, I equate the launch to an airplane taking off. And what they've been doing for 8 months is taxiing. They're taxiing all over the airport, driving here and there and there. They haven't gone to the what do you call it? The takeoff pad, what do they call it? The tarmac. They haven't gone there to launch yet. They're just driving around. They're in the plane, just driving around, waiting for that aha moment, and then they get onto the launch pad, and then we help them launch. So in my mind, I see an airport. There's those who are sitting at the gate, loading up the plane. They're just sitting at the gate. They're, maybe buying some products, maybe trying some products, maybe they're just sitting at the plane, at the gate. Then there's those who start, maybe sharing with information a little bit, dabbling. And they're just taxing all over the place. They don't have their maps set out. They don't know where they're going yet. They haven't made a decision to get to the launch pad. They haven't partnered with anybody. They're just driving around. But at some point, somebody might catch wind of this because they went to a lock-in event, because I invite them every time, and they finally, boom, somebody related to them or whatever, the right combination happened. They're like, I want to do this now. And now we're like, okay, well then what do we do before we take off? Before we go to the end of the runway, what do we do? Make sure the plane's fueled, make sure we know where we're going, we punch in the coordinates. You know, we have the destination, the landing, all that already pre-planned before we take off. But when we take off, we don't do half throttle, some throttle, back, forth, back, forth. We go pedal to the metal. It's just full out, boom, because we got a short runway. We got to get this plane off the ground. That's a launch. It's a great metaphor for what you're doing. You've got people at the gate, you got people taxiing, and you got people don't know that there is a runway to take off. You got to get them to the runway. So here's this, let me just work the numbers here. So if we're going to do a strategy, let's say a 30-day strategy, what time is it? Oof, we're over. We want to get partners. That's the goal, not consultants, partners. Partners who are people who have, you know, done heaven and hawing. They get their products, they get their launch products, they get what they got to get because they're told this is what you need. That's what they do. Now, for every three, if 3 is the goal, if I'm after 3 and launching somebody new in the business, how soon do I want those 3?
This month.
Ideally in a month. If I can have my 3 in the first month, it's going to make the work a lot easier, and they're going to be a lot more excited about the business. And besides that, it's hard to get anybody to focus longer than that. If you can't get results right in their first month with a targeted strategy, they lose interest. They get distracted. They go do other things. It's just people don't have the attention span like we did as baby boomers growing up, unless there's a real need. So for those 3, I need, based on the law of thirds, 9 people to join as consultants. So that means 6 people who joined are not going to be partners. They're going to be taxiing, or they're going to be at the gate, but 3 are going to be ready to go to the runway. Okay, so if I need 3 to be ready to go to the runway when I need them to, which is this month, I need to have 9 join this month. You're like, what? Yeah. Which means I need to have 27 interested in knowing about Niken as a possibility to solve one of their issues. For me to get 27 people to say, yes, I want to know more about this, how many people do I have to make sure I'm prepared to expose to this to get those 27? It's 81. Now you know why I need a list. And if somebody doesn't come full tank, they come with a half tank, we're not going to get it done. You got to come with a full tank. You come to play or don't. You want to fart around? You know, you can do this anytime you want. But if you want to launch, if you want real results, if you really want to change your life, if you're serious about what you're talking about, I'm serious about what you're talking about, serious enough that I'll set the time aside to help you. So for me, a launch is a campaign. It's not a trial. It's not, oh, we'll try this. We'll try Niken. You'll try Niken? No, Niken will try you, buddy. You have to be committed. You have to be prepared to go to win. Break through the board, you got to see the other side of the board. So what's the other side of the board? Those 3 partners. Now, if I get those 3 partners, do you think this person's going silver?
Yeah.
Without a doubt, right? That's the other
Gold.
side of the board. The 3 partners is the other side of the board. It's not silver. Silver is a consequence of me getting the job done. So that's how I always saw it and always see it, because now we're talking about seeing past the person you've introduced to the people they're introducing. In fact, I take it even one step further. Over 90 days, you see another generation on my strategy. So I don't even go into a launch without imagining 2 generations under that new person. Which means I need something to lock this group in, first generation. I need something to lock this group in, second generation. So I go into a launch with those kind of expectations, with that kind of forward thinking, and that's why I'm more likely to hit my targets. I don't go in to try and hope something happens. I go in knowing there's 3 positions to be filled. Let's fill them. So now that's 9, that's 27, that's 81 people that we need to reach out to. Now, what's the fastest, simplest, easiest way to get the job done when time is our enemy? You know, everybody's short on time. That's why I need a system. So if you're prepared to contact 3 to 5 people a day in some simple daily method of operation, whether it's a text, whether it's a video that you're sending them, which is a simple way of doing it, whether it's initiating a call, if you're ready to do 3 to 5 of those a day, then you're going to get the interested people that we're after in the first 3 weeks. And then from that, we're going to know who we're presenting to. So we better have our presentations lined up so that we know when we get those interested people where they need to go next. The next step is the invite to that presentation. And so what's the presentation that we're going to send them, or the combination? That has to be pre-planned, because if you're not boom, 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 you're thinking about it, you're not planning it. It should have been thought about before you executed it. So if you have it pre-planned, you know what, that's why the event schedule is so important. It's why you need to have your own schedule right here, right now, so you can actually see this unfold. Oh, that's what Mike's talking about. That's why I need to know when the events are happening this week. That's why I need to know when Master Day is. Oh my God, I need to know where Master Day is. And not only that, but I need to get my people past the what conversation before Master Day if I want to lock them in for being a partner. See, now it starts to tell you what has to happen by when. I call those drop dead dates or D days. This has to happen by then, for this to happen by then, for this to happen by then. You plan it, pre-plan it. How do you think you break a platinum in a month? You think that's a, let's go and see what we can make happen? Or is that a plan? And what I'm talking about is not something that is taught to the masses. This is highly specialized knowledge. And I can assure you, I'm doing it this way because it's the best way to actually show it. But those people who are network marketing professionals, they always have a plan for somebody when they're launching somebody. It's rare, it's extremely rare that they don't have a lockstep plan. And does everybody follow the plan? We already know the plan itself tells you they don't. The plan itself tells you expect a third of anything to happen. Every step you're going to reduce by a third. But that's the plan. I can play to win because I know what the numbers are. And so this way you have a strategy. Now, by the way, if you do this strategy that you're seeing here, you'd have accomplished 3 powerhouses. Because 3 partners means you have 9 consultants. How many consultants do you need for a powerhouse? 1, and you got 9. But I also know you'll have at least 9 customers. So 3 customers and a consultant is 1 powerhouse. So you have at least 3 powerhouses done if this is the strategy you go with. Which means silver is a shoo-in. And then you have your month-end event and you find out who wants to play next month. Who of the 9 consultants wants to be the next silver? Wants to go around next? And then it's just, who's next? Who's next? Every month for you is who's next? So the best way to become that person is to lock into this. And like I said, I'm going to share you this. It's not the first time you've seen this, but I'm going to share it. Because when you start to think this way and plan this way, you're going to move closer to this way actually being reality. Rather than, and why I'm saying this is because, as I told you, we attract into our lives what we contemplate, what we think about, what we emotionalize. So if you can get excited about actually having a business where you feel with the right candidate, I have a strategy for them, we can shoot for silver, gold even, because this is the plan. And if you have a schedule of events, a calendar of events that you're operating from, which you can then see systematically, this is the inversion. It's upside down. If you were looking at a funnel, the funnel starts with contacts, going into a interest stage, going into a presentation stage, going into a follow-up stage, and then a result. So what you're looking at is a funnel. And that's it. That's how you make Nikken, or any business for that matter, systematic. And the process, as I said, whether you, okay, let's get back to the new person. Who's going to do the what presentation for the new person?
An A.
Yeah, because I doubt very much the new person's going to be able to do it. So far what we have is a new person needing an A to do a how presentation, and a new person needing an A to do a what presentation. So what does that person need to do? What do they need to get decent at in their first at least 30 days? Contacting and inviting.
Want.
Yeah.
They just have to find out. They can just call people, not even mention Nikken, and just how are things going, and taking
No.
notes.
Now you're going random.
No.
Follow the contact invite script. Follow it. Follow it. Follow it. Follow it. Call somebody
Okay.
on purpose, and you're going to invite them into a process to investigate because they have a why.
Well, that's their warm market, so they would
Yes,
know.
they would only
Yes.
have warm market if they're new.
Yes. Okay.
I'm not going to send a new person out to go meet somebody at McDonald's or a coffee shop and prospect them. That would be the stupidest use of their time.
Yes.
A new person needs to learn how to do Nikken, and they need to learn to do it now, and they need to learn it with the resources they have available to them already. That's duplicatable. But if they have to do it in some future time when they figured out how to do something else, that's not duplicatable. We'll be here forever.
Yeah, that's key, what we just said.
Okay.
Mike,
Yes.
quick observation. I love that, love this. This reminds me of what a military or corporate strategist would do. This is what we're doing. We are a corporation, a multi-billion-dollar one. And this is the only way you can vet out the people that really want to be in the upper, we'll say the upper management, in this
Yep.
case, rank level. You have to have a strategy. I was raised in a military family. I understand this. And I also had many years in the corporate world. And this is what it's done. It's not a happenstance that a certain person becomes a CEO or becomes a high-end person. This is all strategized, and that's what you're saying. And I thank you for it. This is great.
Thank you. Yes. And by the way, just so that the pendulum doesn't swing all over to one side, this is something you want to have as a resource, as an expectation, while you are managing with all the other stuff that happens in this business. As I said, you've got posers, you got people sitting got people in the line to get on the plane, you got people on the plane who, you got people, the plane's at the gate, you got the planes taxiing. It's like, you got all of that in Nikken, but what you need for sure is, because I'll tell you one thing, when you start looking for something, you'll start finding it. So when you start looking for who you're going to launch next, then when I say draw out your group, you're going to incorporate that into your drawing. And what I used to have on my drawing is this, where the circles are, I would put a question mark, and that would cause my subconscious mind to start thinking about who's going to be in that spot, who's going to be the person. So I would be looking for that person. And so your subconscious mind, the reticular activation system, is sweeping for that, looking for that. You'll attract that. And so, the question you should always say is, who's next? Who am I launching next? And become a launch enthusiast, a launch expert. Because when you start, your job is really to give somebody the best start you know how. What else is it? To handhold, to babysit? No. It's to give them the best start possible that you know how now. You'll know better next. That's the best we can hope for. Best thing we can do as a sponsor is give somebody a good start. The best start we know how to give them. Best that based on what I know now.
Do we have time for one more quick comment that I have, Mike?
Sure.
In lieu of the 25, what was the number by 2025 the company was looking for us having, was it 10 million wellness homes?
10 million.
This would be the only way that it would ever happen. Without this strategy, it could be 2035, we still wouldn't be there, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a strategy. So yeah, awesome.
Well, we have to attract. And to attract, we have to attract the quality people that will get the job done, but somebody has to define the job. It's like there's a vacancy for what? We have vacancies for diamonds, royal diamonds, platinums, golds, but what we don't have is that thinking. We just have a thinking of, can I sell a product? Can I make an extra few $100s? We're not seeing, enough of us are not seeing the bigger picture, which is
Yes.
the diamonds, where the diamonds are. They're out there. Other companies are attracting them because they're looking for them. And what we've been trained to do is look for consumers. What we need to reposition ourselves while we're attracting consumers and dealing with consumers is we need to start looking for those diamonds. And the reason why you don't look for a diamond is because you would know what you'd do with one anyway. That's the subconscious sabotage. But now if you have a strategy, or at least you know somebody who has, I would be more than happy to get a call and say, Mike, I've got an ABC call I'd like to do with you. This is a diamond, and you'll hear from them why I believe that's true. And I'd like to go over the strategy with them, your launch strategy. Could you deliver that? In fact, I've been asked, maybe I should resume that presentation. I used to do that presentation on Saturdays. I don't know if I'll do it every Saturday, but I may in fact resume doing a launch strategy meeting where if you want to, hear it start to finish, or invite somebody start to finish and get their education on that. But I'll tell you, listen to Silver's a Blast. Just keep listening to it. That is the best audio in Niken, bar none. Because as far as I'm concerned, it tells you exactly what you need to know. It shares with you the insights that are paramount to somebody getting the job done. And it's all doable. It's just so organic. It's beautiful. What I'm giving you is visual structure. It's good to have the theory. But when you listen to that audio, you hear it in reality, what it looked like.
Mike, if you did that strategy, if you do decide to do that, would be great if you can have it near or the Saturday before a Seiko Kai or a Master Day.
Or after.
So, or after, that's even better. Right
I would
after
say
that,
after,
and it's still
because
fresh, and
you
then
got a
they
launch
can go right
partner.
into it.
Well, what you could
Yeah.
do is invite a launch partner to it.
Yes,
Somebody who identifies themselves as, okay, I really want to get serious about this. Okay, well, let's see how serious you want to get. There's a call that's it's by invitation only, and I'm inviting you.
love it. Thanks,
Okay, I
Mike.
like that too. That's a good strategy.
Mike,
Yeah.
I wanted to thank you. I'm excited that you're making the cards, the tools, the little cards into a booklet. And I hope that they'll be all the same size, because I've tried
They will
to
be.
do that, staple them together, but they're all different sizes. So
No, they'll be all the same size. That's one of the things that I have to do to make the booklet work. They have to be the same size. So the new card that has this, the Y, that'll be the same shape as all these cards.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, guys, thanks for being with me. And it was a long call, but I hope you got something here and we got the recording. So
Yes,
I guess I'll see
thank
you next
very
week.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, everybody.
much.
Thank you, Mike.